Albania as well. But if you actually look overall at the competition, well, Ukraine have 7 gold medals courtesy of dominating the junior events. To the parallel bars final, and we get things underway with the second strongest in qualification, Petro Pagniuk of Ukraine. Third in the order, the third strongest qualifier, Bulgaria's David Huddleston. And then we see the top qualifier, Turkey's Ferhat Arujan. He will go 6th in the order. Bronze medalist at last year's European Championships. He was 5th in the parallel bars final at the World Championships. This the penultimate final to take place here at these Men's European Championships. We still have the horizontal bar final to come in a short while. So we shall have the athletes in the arena in a short while. City of Mersin, they say, has been populated since the 9th century BC. It was at one point part of the Roman settlement of Sicilia. Or Cilicia, I should say. I should say that because it's the correct pronunciation. Extraordinary history, though, in this part of the world. Go back as far as the Hittites, the Assyrians, the Persians, the Greeks, the Romans. They've all been part of this space and part of this place. A city that used to be called Zephyrion during its ancient Greek occupation. Called Hadrianopolis by the Romans in honour of the emperor.
We kindly invite finalists on parallel bars.
So the men's parallel bars competition has reached the final stage, and we now have it here for your enjoyment at the World. I was about to say the World Cup. It's not the World Cup. It's the European Championships. I was staring at Petro Pagniuk there, who has had some real success at World Cup level. He won the Sombate parallel bars title in September in Hungary. And this venue is so used to holding World Cup gymnastics competitions that force of habit there made me announce this as a World Cup event. So sorry about that to European Gymnastics. As you can see, I'm sure, on the left of your screen, or could a moment ago, the Women's Championships begin next weekend in the same arena. First opportunity that we've had in these 2 days of finals action to see Lithuania represented. Robert Tvorogal. He will also be participating in the horizontal bar final.
The finalists on parallel bars.
Getting us underway will be Ukraine's Petro Pachniuk, the second strongest qualifier and the silver medalist at last year's European Championships. Robert Tvorogal of Lithuania will be next, fifth strongest in qualification. David Huddleston of Bulgaria, third strongest in qualification. Ibrahim Cholak, who's already won the rings title, fourth strongest in qualification for the parallel bars final. Once again, we see Christopher Mizaros, sixth strongest in qualification. And the favourite top qualifier, Ferhat Arojan of Turkey, he scored 15.333 in qualifying. Severin Kransenmüller, who celebrated his 26th birthday yesterday, seventh strongest in qualification. And Benedikt Tomczany of Hungary, second Hungarian gymnast in this final. He was the eighth strongest in qualifying. Well, certainly one of the expected contenders will get us underway. Petro Pachniuk. He had a couple of new elements that he debuted on the parallel bars at the World Challenge Cup in Hungary in September, where, as I mentioned earlier, he won the title. He says one of the great things that's changed his whole career is becoming a father. He says it's given him, in his words, someone to live for, someone to achieve for. He comes from a military family. And he certainly has military precision in a lot of what he does on the parallel bars. Petro Pachniuk of Ukraine, silver medalist at last year's European Championships, second strongest in qualification here. Establishes a good line with his handstand. That element perhaps not quite as crisp as it was in the qualification process. Good height. Just a little correction on his handstand position, very small. A nice moment there where he works on the single rail and switches around 90 degrees to go back to handstand. Diamidov's skill was tough not to overcook. Oh, what a dismount that was from Petro Pachniuk, and he knows it's a strong one. He was glued to the mat as he landed there. Strong start. As I've said on a couple of occasions during today's apparatus finals, there's something really nice about seeing a very strong first routine. It can just maybe up the game a little bit of those still to come. Real quality in his landing. It is a little bit better than the performance in qualification. 14.766, same difficulty, just a little crisper on his execution, and some of that certainly attributed to the dismount. A stylish gymnast from Lithuania, Robert Tvorigal, turned 26 a couple of months ago. First Lithuanian gymnast ever to compete at the Youth Olympic Games. He was the first also to win European Games gold when he won the horizontal bar title in Minsk last year. Just a little adjustment, or quite a big adjustment, needed on that handstand. Oh, that was beautiful. He arches his back so nicely, moving into the tip-held skill. A little bit of compression in the arms, adjusting that handstand. That's another very nice landing from Tvorigal. He had some obvious deductions in there, though. He won the open all-around competition at last year's Israeli National Championships, where some guest gymnasts are also active. And certainly he is best known for his work on a different sort of bar, which we will see later. But he does have lovely form as he moves through the early phase of the tip-held skill. And that was the momentary adjustment of his handstand hold. Not a great deal to be concerned with in terms of the dismount, though. 14.5 for Tvorigal. He's well up from the 14.133 in qualification. Gains almost half a mark. And as a result, he's in second place. Bulgaria's David Huddleston had a wonderful moment last year when he qualified for the Olympic Games. It wasn't just a great moment for him, it was a great moment for his partner as well, Erika Zafirova, a fantastic group rhythmic gymnast. She also qualified for the Olympic Games, and he said it was her that got him there. He said she was with me not only physically but also spiritually. Whilst he was competing in Stuttgart, apparently they were exchanging messages throughout the competition. Takes a few paces in his handstands there. Nice, lovely fluid work. Goes tidily into manner and just can't hold that dismount. So David Huddleston not going to be in contention, but his great battle to get to the Olympic Games, that's been won. And how lovely that he has pointed out just how much it meant to him and how much he relied upon the support of his partner. Such a super gymnast. He was born in Netherlands, lived in the Caribbean for quite some time. He's actually Bulgarian American. He's a great asset to the Bulgarian squad. Wasn't a million miles away from landing that dismount absolutely fine. Looks like an enormous slip, but it really is only a matter of an inch or two. So a shame there for David Huddleston as the third strongest in qualification. Would have hoped to really be in contention. 12.866 for the Bulgarian. So it has him in the provisional bronze medal position, but with still 5 competitors to go. Well, I think whatever happens in this final, he's had a pretty good weekend. Ibrahim Colak, team silver medalist, still rings European champion. What can he do on the parallel bars? He was 4th in qualification, 14.3. And there's a little gap now that might favour him. Judges, as I'm sure many of you know, some of you might well be judges, they are wanting to see everything hit first time without any adjustment, such as is demonstrated by that lovely handstand there on the single rail as well, which is more difficult from a strength and balance perspective. Almost has elements of his still rings routine in the parallel bars. Certainly had elements of his still rings routine on the floor exercise yesterday when he unexpectedly had to perform that. He's a delighted man who's having a great championships. Ibrahim Colak, the 25-year-old. You know, even a couple of weeks ago, he wasn't sure if he was actually going to be here at this competition. Had shoulder surgery back in March after a training injury in February. This a particularly striking moment in the routine, the hold of the single rail handstand. That's where you almost feel like you're watching his still rings work. Very strong. He is a qualified teacher of physical education, and he is in 3rd position with 14.366, a little bit of a jump up in execution from qualification by almost a 10th. So at the moment we have Petro Pachniuk in the lead, then Robert Tvorogal in 2nd place, Ibrahim Colak in 3rd, Christopher Mezaros of Hungary, 6th best in qualification with a score just shy of 14. Lovely, crisp and fluid. We'll lose some tenths there for those little paces with the hands. Make sure that he establishes that handstand. Oh yes, very sharp. Nice turn. I think he just lost his leg form a little bit going into the first part of the dismount, but it's another display from Mészáros that is so promising for the future. Well, until recently he's been best known for what he does on the floor on the pommel horse, but he's starting to establish himself as a very competent and reliable and indeed elegant all-arounder. So we'll see what he can do over the years in terms of accumulation of difficulty. The next gymnast who's coming along, Ferhat Arujan, is 27. He has 8 years of competitive experience over Mészáros. It's worth bearing that in mind when you think about where he might go. Oh, that's very good from Christopher Mészáros. 14.1. 8.6 execution score. Again, it's the difficulty that's the issue. 5.5. But at the risk of sounding like a broken record, if he's delivering strong execution and can add a few tenths here and there, then we will see him a little bit more in European Championship finals action. Now, which routine do we see here from Ferhat Arujan? The 15.333 that we saw in the qualification process, which was like a knife through butter, or will we see the slightly unexpectedly stuttery, stumbly routine that he delivered in the team final? A little bit off axis there, and again. Yes, he's having problems with that handstand, keeping the legs and the heels together. This is looking crisper though. Second half of the routine in the team final was just delightful. Oh, beautifully sets that handstand. Snaps out of the Diamidov. Well then, Ferhat Arujan. It may be something of a middle ground between his qualification routine and his team final routine, but what he does have is just bags of difficulty. And you can understand why there are some visible execution errors when you consider what he's actually doing, the construction of this performance. It is very busy work. Cleanly moves off the bars to re-grasp them. Such ferocity. Well, he won a bronze medal in this venue in the Mediterranean Games in 2013. It's amazing to think that despite all he's accomplished as a parallel bars specialist, his only international parallel bars title in continental or world championships or multi-sport games is the gold medal he won at the Islamic Solidarity Games in 2017. Well, this one is going to put him into pole position with 15.1. It is an almost exact middle ground of the routine he delivered in qualification and the one in the team final, and it is easily good enough to go into the lead. So in the gold medal position and staring enticingly at a European Championship title is Ferhat Arujan of the host nation. Severin Kranzl-Müller of Austria, 7th strongest in the qualification campaign. It's his 3rd time at a European Championships, having made his debut in Bulgaria in 2014. He's a gymnast with lovely balance. Here's Kranzl-Müller. He's a really accomplished snowboarder. And as is often the case, elements of the technique that you have in one sport can transfer across to another. He's a good gymnast at adjusting his balance when necessary. And he's very steady on his feet, such as was evident in that dismount. He's a precise athlete, the 26-year-old. So the score required to get onto the podium is not going to be a score that Kranzl-Müller can meet, 13.6, but he's only a 10th down from his qualification score. The execution, that's the only difference. So Arujan secures himself a medal of some fashion. Same for Petro Pachniuk to add to his team title. Robert Tvorogal waits on the work of Benedikt Tomčani. Another 19-year-old Hungarian gymnast, another gymnast with very nice execution. Could well come down to not quite having the difficulty necessary. It's just a little bit wayward in his pirouette. Little reset there will cost him a 10th or 2. Certainly in control of that element. Big cheers from his teammates. What a competition that Hungary have had. These young athletes, led by the experienced David Vicernic, coming away with a European Championship team bronze medal. Benedikt Tomčani, a very important part of that whole process. The Szombathely World Cup in September was his first ever senior international final. Made his World Championship debut last year. And he was the national all-around silver medalist behind Mészáros earlier this year, back in October. And it's an encouraging thing, isn't it, for a national competition when you've got two 19-year-olds doing battle for the all-around championship. It suggests that there's real promise in the athletes that are coming through the system. .5 is the score for Benedict Tomczany. And it means that it is another glorious golden moment for the Turkish team on this splendid day of apparatus finals for them. It is gold for Ferhat Arujan. He finally gets his European Championship title on the parallel bars in second place, picking up another medal this weekend, Petro Pachniuk. And it is a first medal of these championships for Lithuania, courtesy of Robert Tvorogal. And indeed, it may well be the first ever medal for Lithuania at the Artistic Gymnastics Men's European Championships of any colour. So we have another moment of history that has been made here. A look back at how the competition unfolded, and this performance by Robert Tvorogal of Lithuania, securing a bronze medal and becoming Lithuania's first ever medalist at the Artistic Gymnastics European Championships. Second place goes to Petro Pachniuk. Silver medal for the 29-year-old from Kiev. Repeating what he accomplished a year ago in Szczecin, Poland. But the title delivered once again to the favourite home gymnast after Ibrahim Cholak won the rings title. The overwhelming favourite for this, Ferhat Arujan, won the parallel bars title with a 15.1 score. So it is time for the victory ceremony in just a moment. And we still have one more final to come, the men's horizontal bar final to conclude this weekend of men's artistic gymnastics European Championship action from Turkey. A very happy Turkey at the moment.
Değerli konuklar ve sevgili sporcular, 2020 Mersin 34. Erkekler Artistik Jimnastik Avrupa Şampiyonası Büyük Erkekler Alet Finalleri Paralel Aleti ödül törenini arz ediyorum.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2020 Mersin 34th European Championships in Men's Artistic Gymnastics Seniors Apparatus Final Award on Parallel Bars are being presented.
Bronze medalist Robert Trovogan, Lithuania.
The victory ceremony in the men's parallel bars competition at the European Championships of Artistic Gymnastics sees history made as Lithuania win their first ever medal at the European Artistic Gymnastics Championships. Robert Tvorogal, bronze medalist, joined on the podium by Petro Pagniuk of Ukraine, who adds to the team title that he won yesterday. Ferhat Arıcan of Turkey is the European champion in his home country. It's a second gold medal of these championships for the host nation. Ferhat Arıcan has arrived at the age of 27 as a European champion. It certainly is turning into the coming of age for this Turkish team.
Türkiye Jimnastik Federasyonu Başkanı Sayın Suat Çelen'i davet ediyorum.
Awards given by Mr. Artur Michevich, Man Technical Committee President of FIG, Ms. Linda Davila, Sports Coordinator of European Gymnastics, Mr. Suat Çelen, President of Turkish Gymnastic Federation.
Sevgili konuklar, Türkiye Ulusal Marşı.
Please stand for the national anthem.
And now the national anthem of Turkey. He's won so much in his career, but he's never had a moment quite like this. The national anthem played for him at his home European Championships. Well, Ferhat Arıcan, as I mentioned earlier, has founded his own gymnastics academy with a colleague of his in Izmir, saying that he wants the future generation to be better than he is. Well, they're going to have to work even harder now, aren't they? Because he's a European champion. What an inspirational figure to have running this academy. He's a graduate of sports administration from Ege University, a degree he's undertaken to ensure that he knows the ins and outs of how to make his academy work. And if you look at this Turkish team, every one of them, they're involved in coaching. They are teachers. They are people who've decided that their bit of the journey is only step one. They're already thinking about what happens next when they retire, when they choose to step off the floor for the last time. That is the sign of gymnastics in this country.